back again for part two. This time we're going to sand it down, finish the surface prep, get it ready for paint. We're going to add the cracks and the cuts into the foam to age it, make it look old and beat up, and then we're going to paint it and give it that old black granite looking appearance. Now we want to soften up the edges on the cap, round off the corners, give it that more weathered, aged look. I'm going to use the same sandpaper that we used for cleaning off the sides of the column, and that will give us the appearance that we're looking for. And that's pretty much it for sanding everything. Now we're going to heat up the foam cutter and we're going to put the cracks along the surfaces to age it along a little more. I got my foam cutter warmed up, and so we're going to start with the top cap and just kind of give this a few cracks along what would normally be considered a stress point on some sort of concrete or granite or any type of stone woodwork that would be used to make these types of columns. Doesn't really take a lot to make this look somewhat realistic, but you want to have a gentle hand when you're doing this. And just don't feel like you have to be straight lining anything, because most cracks aren't fully straight lines. Alright, so now we're going to start putting cracks on the actual column. Again, you don't want to go too crazy with this, you just want to let your hand flow freely while you're doing this so they look more natural. And don't go crazy with it, it only takes a few to give it that effect. So that's all it takes to give it some nice weathered appearances with the foam. I said you don't want to go too crazy with it, just enough to make it look like it's been out there for a while. So the paint I'm using for the base coat is probably the darkest gray I could find with a matte finish. This one conveniently I found on the clearance section, so it was half the price, but it worked out perfectly for what I'm doing. When you do start painting it, you want to make sure that you fill in these cracks all the way so that the paint gets all the way inside of them. Move that out of the way for now. So this is a mixture of about 40% paint, 60% water. Now what we're going to do is just kind of lightly dry brush this down from the cracks and any other spots that may have gotten too bright when we were painting the gray on there. So here is the finished product after going through all of that. Pretty simple, fairly inexpensive, easy to make. I think the most expensive part of this whole project was this guy on top. It's a 9-inch poly resin gargoyle. It's just going to kind of hang out on the top of each of these columns that I've built. Again, it's a pretty simple project. The most complicated thing is having the tools to do it. And then the tricky part, when you're done with it, is obviously going to be storing them, because they do tend to take up an awful lot of space. Now if you did want to go ahead and make these bigger ones like this, you're going to follow the same directions, same instructions as the short ones. You're just going to adjust the height to your desired height. Mine happen to be 7 feet tall. The lights on top are just regular coach lanterns wired up with a plug on the end, so I can plug them right into my controllers and then turn them on and turn them off whenever I want them to. Although if you aren't comfortable with the electricity, I don't recommend trying to do that.